Hello, this is Jimmy Mitchell, and we are back with another episode of the Libertarian Uncensored podcast, going over all the posts on the Libertarian Uncensored subreddit. Let's get right into it. First, we have why do conservative / alt-right shows all look the same from YouTube.com, and that's by ChaiTown20. It's from the YouTube account. Let's see, a Renegade Cut, and that's a cross post from the Majority Report subreddit. And I said, what did I say? I said, everyone in the outgroup is exactly the same. It's always the same tropes. You know, it's like they have a picture of Joe Rogan in addition to Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder in the thumbnail. It just goes to show you that, you know, even Joe's alt-right. You know, if on Reddit, everyone who disagrees with the narrative, anyone who dissents at all is alt-right, I would say, so that's important to remember as well. Then we have Association of United Ukrainian Canadian statement on Ukrainian Nazi being honored at Canada House of Commons. They request all statues being honoring Ukrainian Nazi collaborators in Canada be removed and call for a haul of statue funding to all Ukrainian Canadian organizations who honor Nazi collaborators. And that's from Duluth-Falou, and that's from that's the picture of the statement he said he's going to do. And I said, I think, yeah, you know. The thing is, you know, people are so into the Ukraine narrative right now that they'll just honor Ukrainians even if they're Nazis. Look at how people honor Azov and all that. You know, it just goes to show you how deep into narrative people get. Like, you can't question anything Ukraine at all, even if they have historic Nazi collaboration. And even when they do bring it up, then they justify it to say, oh, well, the Nazis weren't good, but, you know, the Russians might have been worse than the Ukrainians since it was after the Holodomor. So that just goes to show you how people say, oh, Nazis are the worst thing ever. One Nazi at the table, everyone's on the table's Nazi, and then they'll just go and justify Nazis when the narrative says to. You know, people have no values. People have really no standards other than doubles, I would say. Fitting how they went from caring about kids in cages to justifying children's death because the letter next to one person's name changed from Defiant Elves on Twitter, and I posted that, and that's a post from Defiant Elves, I said, and it's from the Alternative NOAA. Another Trump failure. This one was as yet. We just killed hundreds of civilians in Iraq, March 25th, 2017. Then the next tweet was, it's sad when kids are killed, but the hard truth about these kids, they're not the type of kids who come home after school and play soccer with their friends. They're the type that start killing during their childhood. Their fate was sealed anyway. Nothing could save them. From February 3rd, 2022. And that just goes to show you how people will say, oh, Trump's got the kids in cages, but then the next administration, when Trump's gone, the kids are still in cages, and now they're justifying children's deaths. They don't care about anything other than that their person's in charge, and they'll justify whatever their person in charge does, even though it's the exact same shit as what the previous one did. Even though he was the worst thing ever, supposedly. Then we have, I look at the Green Party and the Libertarian Party and notice that the Green Party has more integrity than the Libertarian Party, and that's from International Civil War 1, a cross post from the Green Party USA subreddit. And I said, I personally disagree with the Green Party on a lot, but the DNC hates them, that blames them for stealing elections, and labels them Russian assets so that they can't be all bad. Sadly, it looks like most people would rather vote for a dead Dem than a living Green Party candidate, and I linked to that story about how they voted in a dead Dem over a living Green Party candidate in Pennsylvania last year. Then we have Germany bans far-right group that tried to indoctrinate children with Nazi ideology from apnews.com. That's a cross post from the Conservative Terrorism subreddit by ChaiTown20. And I said, remember, if they can justify banning groups you don't like, they have the power to justify banning groups you support as well. I'm anti-Nazi, but if we don't believe in free speech and free association for those we despise, we don't believe in it at all. Next we have MAGA Nazi says we're going to deport a lot of people, 10 million people and growing, anchor babies, their parents, their grandparents. We're going to put kids in cages. It's going to be glorious. That's a cross post from the Anti-Trump Alliance over by ChaiTown20. And I said, social media is finding one knuckle and amplifying him as much as possible. That's generally what it seems to be. You know, it's like, that's this guy probably isn't too mainstream, but he says crazy stuff, so he must be True. So, yeah. Then we have All Set For You, Not a Drag Queen, from Chi20, and that's crosswords from the political memes subreddit. This is Tim Nolan, who was Donald Trump's campaign chairman in Kentucky until he was charged with 8 felonies, including rape, human trafficking, witness tampering, prostitution, unlawful transaction of a minor, and sodomy. There were 22 victims, including 8 juveniles. And then he said, oh, he's one of the original founders of QAnon. So the thing is, it's just never agenda post. Everyone in the out group, they'll always find people in the out group like this, but they'll never say, oh, people in the in group like this, even though it'd be, and then the vice versa. It's just, I think, everyone's got skeletons in their closet, and this just goes to show you that no matter how good you think someone is, they probably do have skeletons in their closet, I would say. Then we have the West never objected to fascism, because the West was capitalist crypto-fascists themselves to this very day, from Chi-Town Idle 20, and that's from Crosswords from the Chomsky subreddit. And I said, pretty much everything is fascism to you, so let's Chi-Town Idle 20. For some reason they own Bitcoin, despite constantly complaining about fascist capitalism. Then we have U.S. anti-discrimination. No, it was this one. Trudeau government news to regulate podcast from the Counter Signal, and I posted that, and I said, looks like the U.S. might not be far behind. I linked to a bill from New York that said, it says requires social media networks to provide and maintain mechanisms for reporting hateful conduct on their platform. So, yeah, I definitely think soon we won't be able to have any free speech at all without the government shutting it down if it goes against the narrative, I'll say. And I think that's something that we need to fight for. We need to fight for free speech, because we're not entitled to it. They'll take it away if they can, and that's something that we need to support, I would say. Even if we disagree with it, we need to support free speech. Then we have U.S. Anti-Discrimination Agency sues Tesla over pervasive racism, from rawstory.com by Chi-Town20. That's crosspost from the Majority Report subreddit. And I don't know if I said anything here, but I think it's only Chi-Town. This poster only cares because it's the out group doing it, not because it's the in group doing it. Tesla bad, Elon Musk bad. That's just kind of what you hear these days after he took over Twitter. Then we have Reuters won the fight for more liberty, from Chi-Town Idle 20. That's a cross post from the socialism subreddit. And I think if the Reuters wanted to strike and they were successful, I think that's good for them. But I wouldn't really consider that liberty. I consider that more business negotiation. But if you want to consider that liberty, I think you should be able to consider that liberty. Interpret anything however you want, I would say. Then we have, I remember when I pulled a fire alarm and told the cops some story like this. They didn't believe it either. I was 14, from Spike Cohen on Twitter. And I said, to be fair, the mental age of Congress is 14 as well, along with the rest of the U.S. government. And then one guy, Frosty Sloman, tried to defend him because, and I said if he had an R next to his name, you wouldn't care to defend him. But they're finding ways to defend him because, he thought the door would open and he wasn't in the Capitol building, even though he was surely in the Capitol area and knew what he was doing because he was a high school principal. So that's just why, when their side, when the in-group does something, they always find excuses, and that's something that you need to remember as well. Social media might as well be called professional gaslighting. They always try and gaslight you and say, "Oh, he didn't mean to do it. It was an accident." Even if you had smoking gun evidence of it, they'll still find an excuse. Then we have the state will tell your kids what to think system, from Tom Woods on Twitter, and I posted that, and I said that was his reply to Ari Dren, who tweeted, "Hot take, but unless you have a very good reason, homeschooling should be illegal. Too many parents use it to abuse your children, keeping them ignorant and easy to control." And I said, these are the same people who yell about fascism and authoritarianism when the state has the wrong letter next to its name. I was referring to Drennan there, yeah. Then we have Do not destroy the great cause of the revolutionary instruction with your own hands. Translation of a Mocknivus leaflet, and that's from Chapter 20, and I think we'll just skip over that one. And we have, this is the type of stuff you expect from a dictatorship, and it's a crossword I made from the Archaeological Compass meme subreddit, and it was a picture of the German public prosecutor Hunt's bloggers. The accusation he described Ricardo Lang, head of the German Greens, as fat. His bank account has now been blocked. And I said, probably what the future looks like for the U.S., sadly. You do a wrong thing, and your bank account will be locked, and there will be nothing you can do about it. Then we have judge authoritarian state capitalist government in Starbucks violated federal labor law by withholding pay from unionized workers from CNN.com by Chi-Town Idle 20. And that's a crossword from the business subreddit. And, yeah, I personally think, I don't think unionized workers should be entitled to pay if they're striking, but if you want to justify that, I think you should be able to. I don't think we should be justifying. I think we should stand up to corporate authoritarianism, but I don't know if we should be justifying forcing people to do things they don't want to do in case, that's used against you at some point. That's my thoughts there. Then we have, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, and that's from Comrade Proton. And he says, as a socialist, I implore you to not throw out the baby out the bathwater because while he was flawed, Hitler had some good ideas about capitalism. I think this might be a troll account, but you never know if Reddit. Reddit is pretty much all troll accounts, I would say. So, if you want to think Hitler had good ideas, I think you should be able to. But I personally would say, if you act on any of those, a lot of ideas, yeah, that'll be considered a NAT violation, I would say. Then we have, it's funny because it's true, from Live Free or Spaz, and that is a meme of which side are you on? It's the Republicans and Democrats, and they're both like the Bloods and the Crips. And I said, agree, it's like Bill Maher says, we were in prison and expected to join either the Red Gang or the Blue Gang. Then we have Project 2025, the end goal, from Chi-Town Idle 20, and that's a cross post from the Conservative Terrorism subreddit. And I said, Project 2025 is the Great Reset / Agenda 2030, but for Reddit leftists. It's important to remember, that they are pretty much a uniparty. The only one that's divided on their authoritarian actions. They all have the same goals to control you and the narrative as much as possible. So let's see what we have next. Let's see. We have Nobel Prize goes to scientists behind mRNA COVID vaccines. Vaccines liberate communities from early deaths and life-debilitating diseases. Well deserved, from bbc.co.uk by Chi-Town 20. And I said, Omega Phallic said, most undeserved Nobel Prize since Obama's Nobel Peace Prize. The value of the award is being degraded. And I said, Nobels have pretty much always been in elite circles work anyway. Then we have House GOP's impeachment witnesses says there is no evidence yet that Biden committed a crime, from NBCNews.com, and that's by Chi-Town 20. And Frosty's Law, probably no evidence of that. Let them speak. Don't repeat the mistakes of the past. And I said, you're the same type of person who believes Bowman pulled the fire alarm to open the door. He said, that's a weird tangent, but yeah, I do. I said, so even if there was smoking gun evidence, you would find an excuse. Hunter Biden didn't up on the board of Burisma for no reason. That's the thing. When the out group does something, they'll always find a way to blame them. But when the in group does something, there's always an excuse. They won't accept any evidence of Joe Biden's corruption, even if it was smoking gun. So that's important to remember as well. Then we have fear as a means of controlling people, and that's the self-post I made. I said, it's pretty much the name of the game that comes to social media. Name a subject, and people are probably going to fearmonger about it, from ignorance to climate change to COVID, etc. You can't let fear be means to justify authoritarianism. Look at the Patriot Act, and how its influences only seem to grow throughout the century. When you see scary headlines and write about Project 2025 and such, you have to remember why Reddit is free in the first place. If something is free, you are the product. You definitely see that in social media. Don't give up your liberty because you want safety. You'll oftentimes never get it back. There's less than many duopoly voters should learn. Thoughts? And I said, one guy said, "Oh, you're a fearmonger." I said, "It's social media. Pretty much everyone is a hypocrite, I would say." Then we have North Carolina Republicans create secret Gestapo police force, and but it's never run by Title 20. I said, I think I'll say we already have tons of Gestapo in the U.S. Chief among them being the CIA. Gestapo in the U.S. Chief among them being the CIA. And let's see. So then we reach, let's see, we have one more post to go, I think. Donald Trump is not Jesus. Those who cast Donald Trump as the new Jesus Christ and draw similarities between two need to read their Bibles. This is particularly true for those instances of Donald Trump being held accountable for his actions, like the crucifixion of Jesus. So I guess I would agree. It's from publicopiniononline.com. From Title 20 across Christian Christianity, etc. I guess I would agree with that. You know, the thing is, politics is a lot like religion. Politics is really a civic religion these days, and you're definitely seeing that right now, I would say. A civic religion these days, and you definitely see that, among a lot of people. So I think let's see. Then we have, I think that's going to be it for this episode. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.